Yeah, what is up, YouTube? It's your boy back again, finally back at it. Started mine for E equals MCU, and with everything going on, I wanted to finish the reviews that I was doing for the Disney Plus series. I admittedly, and if you notice where I left off at, was so angered by the boner reveal for WANDAVIsion that it pissed me off to the point where I didn't even want to, I had to take a break. And then from that, I know many of you do not know, I was hospitalized with COVID after the series ran during Falcon and Winter Soldier, so I was not able to do the reviews on that. So I'm gonna try to go back and just do all the reviews. It's way too late. Like, all of the spoilers and stuff have already been spoiled. But I think upon reviewing the shows after knowing the ending kind of changes some of the perspective to some of the scenes. So I did want to kind of go over a couple of those with you guys real quickly here. And we're going to start off with episode 5 for a very special episode of WandaVision. So, a couple of things I just wanted to point out. In the opening scene, when they have the babies are crying, and Wanda can't control them. And knowing how the series ends, they never explain why she could not control them. They never really, it was Agatha all along. You get that whole song bit, but they said that Agatha was controlling the kids. She never had control of the kids. So, that's something that just wasn't explained. So that's one thing that I think Miss Jack Schaefer will have to explain to us, or at least, break down. And it might be coming. The thing about all of this is that these are chapters, and Wanda will be appearing in Doctor Strange 2 in the Multiverse of Madness. So in this episode, there are a lot of Easter eggs set up. The writing in this, there were multiple Easter eggs set up throughout this episode, and it really shows the quality and the brilliance of Jack Schaefer as a writer for the show, and why she was probably chosen. Like, a lot of people may not know, and I think I mentioned this before, she had been in the Marvel writing room and helped out on other projects. I believe, I'm not sure about the Captain Marvel, but I know she did the first Guardians of the Galaxy. She did write-ups or whatever they call, they have a word for it, but she did help in that writing, and she's been with them. So it's like she's getting her chance here, and I think that she's probably gonna get more projects. She signed a big deal with Marvel to do more projects. This episode exemplifies why. She set up about 3 or 4 Easter eggs in this that she didn't pay off correctly. So like I said, you have the whole thing with the kids not explaining with the twins why they weren't being controlled. In this episode, Darcy comes up with the name of the Hex as her and Monica are talking, and there's the whole thing with the engineer, and they didn't pay it off. In that scene, I feel they missed the opportunity to introduce a character that could be important to the story going forward. Now, with that said, I think now we understand that these Disney Plus shows will not be introducing big characters, because Kevin Feige came out and said himself, these shows are meant to further the story and the plots for these characters, but it's not necessary for you to. They don't want to make it to where you have to watch the shows and watch the movies. They want people who watch the movies to still be able to watch the movies if they so choose. So because of that, you have to understand there's certain things that they're not going to do or allow in the TV shows that are going to impact the universe. You're not going to get something really major or really big happen on these shows to where if a person, it pops up in the movie and you're like, well, I didn't know, where did that come from or whatever. So you got to understand that part. That's going to happen. So looking back on this now, I think at the time the expectation was way too high, because we didn't really know what these shows were or what they were going to be or the limitations. But now looking back on it, we know, that's probably not going to happen. So in my opinion, you still could have introduced someone like a Blue Marvel who may be popping up in Captain Marvel 2. But at the time, you have to give Jack Schaefer credit. At the time when she wrote all of this and they did this show, they didn't know if they were going to use Blue Marvel or not. And we still don't know, because they're working on Captain Marvel 2 now as we speak. So if that was to come into play, that would have been after her knowledge. So she had no way of knowing in order to set that character up. So I have to give them a little bit of credit on that and not be too harsh in judging them. Just for at least for that aspect. Now, the boner thing at the end of the show, I'll get to a little bit later, but no excuse for that. Now, in this episode, they try to explain how Wanda's twins are hers and they're actually real. And they use the clothing from Monica to try to further that point of how she's actually changing reality. So it's like she walks in with the bulletproof vest on, and then her clothes inside of the hex become made of the same material as the bulletproof vest. Wanda basically just changed it. So they're trying to use that to explain that the kids are actually real, and it's all magic based. And what I think this is setting up is actually we'll see continued in Spider-Man No Way Home, if all of the rumors are true about the multiverse and the Spider-Verse happening in that. It's probably going to be caused by Wanda for the fact that she's going to be in Doctor Strange 2, and I still think she's probably going to be the villain, or at least for most of that movie until they get to the end and there's some bigger thing that's come up. But they're going to have to tie it up, all of the stuff she did in WandaVision and the effects of that, and just where she stands at that point going forward. So they didn't do it in my opinion in this episode. They set that up, but they didn't really knock it out of the park in explaining it. And part of that is because this was done as a television show for a weekly audience, and they had to keep the suspense going, and it worked. I think that's what kind of drove it to number one. So you can kind of see a lot of that at play here. This is also the episode where Vision starts to see that something's not quite right. He's starting to see that the people are mind controlled. He reads Norm's mind. So he's starting to figure out, they're doing magic in front of Agatha. You got the kids aging up to 10 years old to get the dog. Like, a lot of stuff happened in this episode. One of the most, probably the best moment, one of the best moments of the show is when Wanda comes outside of the hex and she's got the Stark drone and she throws it at the director. All of that is letting you know, it's kind of showing, and you can kind of see she not playing. It was very Magneto-esque the way they did this, and they try to act like they don't know and they didn't have this, and I think all of that is legal mumbo jumbo, honestly, because at the time when they did the show, they don't want to cross or blur any lines or have anybody saying that they were operating on Fox characters before they actually had the rights to do so. So that might be why they're denying it. But part of me wants to think that they're setting this up to tell a longer story down the line, or at least leaving it open to where they can say, had Magneto had done something similar, he does it, now she does it, now you and then you'll go back and look at it and be like, man, that is Magneto's daughter. Like, the way she did the scene and flicked her hand, had the guys and swords, turned the guns on them. That whole thing was very Magneto-esque, man. That was like one of the dopest scenes, just shot, everything, the acting, everything. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed for that. All right, now in closing, to kind of get to the end of this, it wraps up. Just a couple funny moments I wanted to point out that I don't know if anybody caught. The intro, okay, first of all, the themes that they did for each of these episodes, I think they executed very well. I don't think you could ever say that Marvel didn't take a chance or they do everything the same, blah, 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 blah. Because then you get people who hate on this and say, well, I didn't like it because it's boring or blah, 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 whatever. You know what I'm saying? Suck it up. They took a chance here on this. At all these shows, in my opinion, they took chances that they didn't normally take with the movies. And they executed it brilliantly. Each episode is a different, era, and they capture it so good. Like this whole Silver Spoons look with the set and everything, they captured it. The hair, the makeup, just the style, the feel. They captured everything perfectly. And I don't think they get enough credit for really executing that the way they did. Now, this episode, the way this episode ends, there's a couple funny things. Before I get to the ending, there's a couple funny things. I'm gonna try to see if I can find a picture of the intro that they did with the song. And they had Vision and Wanda's pictures up, and they had a picture of Wanda in Sokovia. I don't even know if it was like a playground or something. It is hilarious. Like, you could tell they took the face and like put it on somebody else's body, but it looked like she's in the middle of a war zone. It is hilarious. I've never heard anybody talk about it like overlooked, but that part's hilarious. And the other part is the mailman. Man, the mailman has the worst wig ever. I don't even know if that was on his head or if it was on the hat. Like, that's how bad it was. Every time I see that scene where he's like, your mom won't let the dog get fired, it cracks me up because his wig is just so bad. And I don't know if that was part of Wanda's doing or what. But, and then the other thing is, we all know now Agatha killed the dog. She comes in with the dog. So, very well done. At the end of this episode, there's a big climax between Vision and Wanda. And like, man, the acting there, they were, as you say, they were here with each other, pointing at the eyes. They were here because that moment was really, they're both superpower beings, very powerful, and they're like going at each other without even realizing that they're going at each other for a minute. And it's just like you kind of see them, you know what I mean, like get to the ledge and like telling the other one to jump, do something, and then finally, they calm down, and then the brother shows up. Now, I'm not gonna rant about this because it's been ranted about on the internet far enough. He shows up, and we know. Okay, here's my problem. They used Evan Peters for a reason. They can't say that they try to act like they used him and it was just like a fun little nod, but you don't take the X-Men's Quicksilver and then bring him in your universe in a thing like WandaVision and say that he's Quicksilver basically because he's still her brother. A part of me hopes that pays off later and that he's not done. And there is an interview, if I can find it, I will post it. There's an interview of him maybe hinting at more appearances, like he didn't just sign a one appearance kind of thing, so it might be multiple. Recently, there was the news that the person who did play Quicksilver in the MCU is now playing Kraven the Hunter. So if all of the Spider-Man stuff is true and that's all going to cross over, he's not returning as Quicksilver. So if they wanted to, and this will all probably happen in Doctor Strange 2, if it happens, they could make him actually be Quicksilver. And that's still me just kind of holding out hope. So, whatever. But you bring in Evan Peters to play that role. He did a great job on all the episodes that he was in. He did a great job. It was a great reveal. I just wish the payoff for it was better. And that's one of the things that I think that Jack Schaefer has to improve upon if she does another show or whatever she's writing. She has the tools to set you up. She just has to learn how to hit the ball out of the park and hit the home run. If she does that, she'll be probably the greatest asset to the Marvel Studios team going forward because she has the goods. Like, she got the juice. She just need to learn how much sugar to put in it, if any, or what to use to make that taste just hit the point. But anyways, not to go on a rant, they bring him in at the end of the episode. That's the reveal. We all know he's controlled by Agatha. He's just some random dude in the town, supposedly. But it was a great reveal. It was a great moment. And it was a great way to end the show because that whole week, the internet was going crazy about this. So, overall, man, that's my episode 5 review of everything. I'm going to go ahead and finish the series out, and then I'll let you know on the last episode what I rate the whole series as a whole. And then we'll move on to Falcon and Winter Soldier, and then we'll get ready for Loki. So, I'm going to go ahead and sign off at this point. Make sure you guys leave your messages down below. Any comments that you want to add to this, anything that I may have missed, anything I got wrong, anything that you agree with, leave it down below. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and I'm out.